Yes, welcome to Samuel's MTH. Welcome to Mr. Samuel's MTH. So today we'll be having MTH 102. And MTH 102 is a course that deals with um, learning how to use mathematical knowledge to solve real life problem. That is learning how to use differential calculus integration to solve real life problem. That is what MTH 102 is all about. So we will be dealing with the unit 1, which is function function and graph. What is a function? A function is a mathematical relationship in which every input has exactly one output. A function tells us how one quantity depends on another quantity. That is, a function tells us how quantity A depends on quantity B. That is, if the value of quantity A is 2, definitely our quantity B value will be gotten. That is what we mean mathematically. Now, for example, your salary depends on the number of days you work. Your electricity bills depends on the units of electricity you use. The distance traveled depends on the speed and time. Yes. Now we have to know that, and this part, the voltage in an electrical cycle depends on the current when resistance is constant, following the what Ohm's law, where V equals to IR. That is, our V is our voltage, our I is our current, and our R is our resistance. That is, now what am I trying to say here? Your salary depends on that is the variable A, depends on the variable B, work. Your salary depends on the number of days you work. You work more, you get full salary. Or you work completely for the months, you get full salary. That is what I mean. Now, for the real life example, if you eat more food every day, definitely your weight will increase. So let me just ask the question. It is normal for everybody that when you consume more food day by day, or you consume more food every day, certainly your weight will increase. Then if you reduce the food you take, your weight will reduce. So what am I trying to say? That is, weight is a function of food consumed. That is, weight depends on the amount of food you take. If your weight is less, that is, you're taking less food. But if it is more, if it is increasing, you are taking more food. That is what it means. That is my example for your real life, the example for real life problem or real life example. So now let's talk about definition of a function. I've explained here that a function is a mathematical relationship in which every input has exactly one output, facing one output, or dealing with one output. That is it. Now, if set A has 1, 2, 3, set B has 2, 4, 6. Now let's map it together. This arrow is called mapping. Now we are mapping this. 1 maps to 2, then 2 maps to 4, then 3 maps to 6. In this example now, we can see that every number in A has only one image. 1 has only 1, 2. 2 has only 4. 3 has only 6. Then, therefore, this is a function. Why is it a function? Because it is a relationship in which every input in A has exactly one output in B, facing exactly one output in B, or dealing with exactly one output in B. That is it. Now, but if 2 maps to both 4 and 5, assume these 2 maps to both 4 and 5, definitely it is not a function. Why? Because one input has two outputs, which is impossible for it to be a function, because the function must have one output, one input, one output. That's it. Thank you. Now, what do we call domain? A domain is the set of all possible outputs. Example, f of x. We call this f of x. We read it as f of x equals x squared. Or another example, range equals y greater than or equals to 0. These are examples of domain. That is, these are all the sets of f of x. These are all the sets of the range. Are you getting all the number greater or equals to 0? Like 0, 1, 2, 3. Those are the range. Now we have independent variable and we have dependent variable. As I've said, normally in mathematics, basically we do have our independent variable represented by x. This is usually represented by x. Our independent variable is represented by x, and our dependent variable is usually represented by y. Y is always dependent on the value of x. The value of x is what will determine the value of y. That is it. Now, and we sometimes represent it with f of x. Our dependent, we sometimes represent it with f of x, like this here. This is dependent, this is independent. Are you getting it? That is it. Now, function notation. Let me bring it down so that we can see everything clearly. Yeah. Now, function notation. If f of x equals to 2x, if f of x equals to 2x plus 3, find f of 5. This is the simplest question ever. Now, how do we solve this? F of x equals to 2x plus 3. That is, anywhere we find our x, we put 5. That is the mean. So f of 5 will now be equals to 2, open bracket, 5 plus 3. That is 2 times 5 give us 10. Now when we have our 10 plus 3, then we have our 13. So f of x is read as f of x. These functions is read as f of x. Yes, that is it. All right, thank you. This will be the end of the class, and I believe I will meet you in the next class. Thank you.